Hello, everyone. My name is Asher Lee Zaccanini, and I am inviting you into a conversation today that was initiated actually a couple of weeks ago. And it's a part of a larger transition that I've been in my professional life, and that I want you to be a part of. And so this video that I'm creating right now is a combination of an announcement and a conversation starter, really, and also just an open inquiry around these themes. And basically the theme that I'm exploring and wanting to explore is this cross-section between clinical mental health counseling, therapy, as many people call it, and professional coaching. And the reason I'm exploring this cross-section is because I am in it. I'm very much in it, and I wanted to share with you some of the reasons that I'm in that cross-section myself, and how I got there, and just what that process was like, and more so what it means for you right now as someone who might be interacting with me publicly in any way. So that's basically why I'm here right now and sharing this information with you. And so yeah, I've been feeling this need to more publicly talk about this transition that I've been in for a while, and I haven't really done it. And I think it's because I haven't been as clear as I am now within myself, and I haven't quite been ready to talk as openly about it until now. And I'd really love to begin that conversation now, because it feels really relevant. And part of the reason that I realized that it was really relevant is a question that I posed publicly a few weeks ago about, your perceptions of a coach versus a therapist. And just even that word coaching or life coaching sometimes brings up a lot of perceptions, beliefs, feelings within people. And I found that out in that question that I asked, and a lot of people responded really honestly and courageously with their opinions and thoughts and ideas. And I realized that there are a lot of insecurities on both ends. Actually, there are a lot of doubts, and I guess mistrust is the word that I used in the newsletter where I wrote about this. There are differences in the ways that we trust others, and some people use certain factors or distinguishers, or need certain things to be there in order for them to trust someone that they don't know very well, and other people need different things. And so I really found this out in reading through people's responses to this question. And the way I posed the question was to ask, what do you immediately think about someone who says, I'm a coach, versus someone who says, I'm a therapist? And I was specifically looking for ideas and perceptions around the identity of coach, because in the professional coaching realm, people toss that term back and forth a lot. We just say coaching, and generally people know what that means, people who are in that realm. What I'm finding and discovering is that people who are not in that realm, or who have never seen a coach before, or invested in professional coaching, don't necessarily know who that person generally is, how they operate, what coaching is. So when they hear coaching, a whole other side of a whole other set of beliefs and ideas and perceptions come about. And so this just really presented a curiosity for me, around this, and especially given that I am in this crossroads right now myself of still being a professional coach currently, and I've been doing that for about, 7 years now, on and off, helping people in that way, supporting people in that way. And this fall of 2020, I just began a program to receive my master's in clinical mental health counseling. And so now I'm training to be a therapist. So I couldn't be any more in the middle of the two than I am right now. And it created a lot of tension in me at first, wondering, because I have this developing and growing passion for therapy and the therapeutic process, what that means about me as a coach. And so that's the transition that I've been in as a professional the last few months. And the way that affects you, and one of the big reasons that I'm making a video talking about all this stuff, is because I want you to be really clear about who I am as a professional right now, and what I am and what I am not offering right now to the public. And that's really important to me, because I don't think it always has been clear, both to me and to you, to people who I have attracted. And I see that more as my responsibility now, and I think I haven't always been as clear about that. So in part, this is about, me staying accountable to both professions, and really doing that work of clarifying what it is exactly that I am able to offer right now, and what it is that I'm not, and what to call that, and how to really identify that. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that now, and my hope is that you'll join this conversation in a few different ways, which I'll talk about later. But mostly this is an offering. It's the reason I didn't do a Facebook Live. Instead, I'm doing a previously taped recording, so that I could really just deliver this information, and those who are interested can view it and then interact with it in various ways after. So one of the biggest takeaways that I received from this question post a few weeks ago about coaching versus therapy, and by the way, I'll use the word coaching for now. Really, I feel like coaching and mentorship is really best describes how I operate and how I think a lot of coaches operate. But for simplicity's sake, I'll just use the word coaching for now, so that you'll know what I'm talking about and won't have to say coaching and mentorship every time. So one of the biggest takeaways I got from this post was that many people mentioned that they didn't trust coaches, because they really felt like someone should be trained, highly trained, specifically trained in, self-development, human development, all the complexities of what it is to be human, psychology, all the things. And I really got that sense that they felt like, many coaches are trying to do some of that work without that extensive training that needs to happen in order to be a therapist and to be licensed as a therapist or counselor. So I really want to validate that, because there's a certain level of truth to it that coaches and therapists or counselors have very different levels of academic training. And I talk about this. This video is corresponding with a blog post where I outline a lot of this information just in writing. So if you are interested in checking that out, I'll link that below. But yes, it is very true that someone who has just been through a certification program to be a coach of some kind, does not have, unless they have obtained it outside of that, they don't have the breadth or depth of psychological information academically learned as a therapist or counselor or a social worker. Those are academic degrees, and they require rigorous study, just as any other academic degree would. And so that is a very clear difference between those two professions. A therapist is very thoroughly academically trained, which means they've been through a process of learning theory, philosophy, skill development, right? Like a lot of information, a lot of knowledge has been given to them about the profession and about, what it means to be human, what it means to change, grow, heal as a human. And it's a very basic foundational knowledge set that most programs offer. So just to clear that up, yes, it's true that coaches do not have that academic foundation unless they have provided it for themselves, which many times is not the case, or they've sought that academic training outside of their coaching certification program. So that's a big difference between the professions already. The way I describe this in the blog post that I wrote is that the profession of clinical mental health, and I would say mental health in general, is primarily validated, I would say, by that academic knowledge and also theory. It is really rooted and grounded in theory and a whole lineage of root systems. That's what I call them, but really it's like a lineage of that knowledge from the founders of, the field of psychology and all the different variants of that. So that particular field, is rooted in thought systems that then go on to support practice. The reason that's important is because the field of coaching, I don't feel, is primarily validated in that same way. The field of professional coaching is primarily validated through personal, direct experience. And I use this analogy, and I'm really kind of proud of it because I didn't think of it before, considering these differences. But the field of coaching actually is more like a trade profession than I think many people acknowledge. So what is a trade profession? It's really about direct experience and learning from personal experience. That experiential learning piece is what 98% of coaches are going to tell you qualifies them to guide you, because they have had direct personal experience with the particular challenge in the particular way that you are experiencing it now, and that they have experience with finding the solution that they are now offering. That is, in a nutshell, how the profession of coaching operates. It's a very path-directed way of guiding, learning, supporting others. And the thought or that worldview suggests that in order to do that, you don't necessarily need that foundation of academic knowledge in order to help someone who is on a very similar path to you. That guidance can happen through skill development and through practicing being able to hold space and guide someone along their path of learning and experiencing life and finding the solutions that work for them in a similar way that you have. So that's one perspective that many coaches have, and clients of professionals who they've been coached by can validate that, yes, they can receive results from that process. and that they didn't necessarily care or need for their coach to have a lot of intellectual or mental knowledge about what they were experiencing in order for them to benefit from it. So that's a very broad way to describe those two professions. There are so many nuances and there are so many gray areas that I think many coaches and therapists fall within. And I'm one of those people right now because I am appreciating the depth and the different angle that a therapeutic process offers. And I'm also appreciating the angle that a coaching relationship can offer someone. The practical guidance, the more personable, sociable dynamic that exists between a coach and a client versus a therapeutic one, which is many times a lot more intimate, emotionally intimate. And so with that, there's another metaphor I like to use to describe the difference between what someone might experience in a coaching relationship and what most people will experience in a therapeutic one. And again, this is not an end-all be-all statement. This is not an all-encapsulating statement, but I find that it's often true, both in my experience and in experiences that I hear from others. And it's that therapy typically addresses a wound or core issues from inside of them. So if you're, for instance, if you are noticing in your life that your relationships are suffering and you would like to work on that issue, right? And you decide to see a therapist, likely the work that you're going to be doing in therapy to address your relationship issues is going to be addressing core issues that you have that affect your ability to be in relationship with others or to connect, right? So it's going to address those core issues, and I think, at least ideally, it will be addressing them from inside the wound itself, right? So in the therapy sessions, you know, and again, it depends on what kind of therapist you're seeing and what orientation they have and what they specialize in. But many therapists are going to be working with those core issues from like right in the center of them, as you are available to do, or as it is therapeutically relevant or helpful to do. Compare that with coaching. So you might be thinking, wow, I have relationship issues, I know I do, and I'd like to work with somebody on them, but you choose to work with a coach. First, I'll say that, you know, depending on how you are wanting to work on those issues and how deeply it is affecting your life, that also might determine whether you see a therapist versus whether you receive support from a coach. The first person that I mentioned, you know, they might be really aware that the issues that they're dealing with are preventing them from functioning properly in relationships. In other words, they don't feel like they can have intimate relationships because of these issues. That would be likely more of a therapy issue. So they might be served better, more effectively by working with a therapist. Let's say there's a different person who also has relationship issues, but they're not preventing them from being in relationship. They're just looking to enhance their relationships. So they're noticing patterns in their relationships that they'd like to work with and get support around, but they have their basic relationship needs met, you know? So it's not like they don't have relationships in their lives or their life, or they're you know, not able to get by in having relationships, but maybe they notice perfectionism shows up a lot and they don't like that and they'd like to, you know, work with that a little bit. Or they notice that they have a lot of friends and friendships, but they really want to work on finding an intimate partner that matches with them, and so they want, they want that result, and they want someone who can help them, achieve the mindfulness or presence that is going to help them find their partner. Even as I'm talking about some of this stuff, I'm realizing that it's just so personal and individualized. What I just described about finding the right match. I could see that person doing that work in therapy, and I could see that person doing that work with a coach. The difference is going to be the depth of emotional processing, likely, and the different kind of training that the two professionals have. The therapist has a lot of academic knowledge, likely some experience to back up what they're holding space for. And the coach has likely a lot of life experience backing up what they are offering space for, likely with some knowledge and some self-taught theory, philosophy, wisdom, knowledge to back that up. So I realize I'm overgeneralizing a lot, and that's okay, because what I'm really trying to accomplish here is just offering some perspective that offers a chance to appreciate both angles and both professions for the gifts that they offer, and really to help you understand that I am training right now. I'm receiving a lot of that knowledge and skill development to be a therapeutic helper, and I'm not able to offer that publicly until I become licensed, and I don't want to. So that presents the need for me to super clarify what I am available for professionally and what I'm not available for. So what I am available for, and what I primarily offer in the coaching mentorship work that I do, is that you, as my client, whoever you are, receive from me support in increasing your capacity for presence, for mindfulness, specifically body-based mindfulness, specifically practicing being in connection with your body, mind, heart, soul, especially the body, and connecting that awareness, first learning to listen to that awareness, and then connecting it also with the way that you're living your life. So that can sound broad, that might sound elusive or hard to grasp. This can show up in any area of your life that can be benefited or that you're looking to grow within. So, for instance, if you are someone who's working on your creative expression right now, and here's a great example. Someone wants to complete a creative project. They've known that they wanted to complete this creative project for years. They haven't been able to bring themselves to do it. Certain areas of their life are stable, fine, in balance, great, but they haven't been able to accomplish this thing. They'd like to bring more presence to this area. They would like to mindfully approach it and ultimately be able to achieve their goal of completing this project. That's a really typical example of someone who is attracted to doing this kind of work with me. Another example is someone who, as I used in the example before, is looking for more authenticity in their relationships. So they have relationships, they have people in their life, but they haven't quite felt like they've landed with their tribe, or they haven't quite found that they're able to cultivate a community of people that feels really alive, nourishing, connected, and authentic. That's another really strong population of people that I love working with, and that bringing more mindfulness to how someone is approaching relationships and the beliefs that they have around relationships themselves. I love doing that work. So that's another example. Other life themes that show up a lot are life purpose, career, business development and expression. People who are, if you're on a path of entrepreneurship and you're looking to bring some creative spice to that path, that's something that I work with a good bit. Let's see what else. Spirituality, touching and tapping into your innate inner wisdom is something that I feel really called to help people with, and often shows up in clients. General life goals. You know, if you're a person who's looking to organize your life in a natural way that feels organic and spirit directed, soul directed, that's something that people often access me for. And then also just general cultivation of compassion, kindness, creativity, flow. These are areas that I often see people showing up wanting to work on. And my solution to all of that, if you haven't heard, or if you haven't clearly put it together, my solution to all of that is connecting with a body honoring process of mindfulness. So those are primarily the practices that I help you to practice, to be more aware of, to commit to. Another really strong value in the coaching relationship is accountability. So it's having a person that you know you're going to meet with every week and who is holding a container for your growth, who, you know, that's a big deal. That's a big deal. And it's a little bit different than finding your way, you know, if you're in therapy and you are seeing the same therapist every week. That's also a form of accountability. And I suppose one of the differences is that there is a little bit more of a conversational, social flow to the coaching relationship, I find. And so it's almost as if you are meeting with a really present, skilled, committed and dedicated friend. And it's a one-way relationship, meaning the friend is always there to support you instead of you needing to support them. That's a good way to describe the coaching relationship and how it feels. There are differences between a coaching mentor relationship and a friendship, obviously. But I think that's a good way to land on like how it actually feels. It feels like a supportive friendship, only this friendship is always there to support you and to offer you practice, skill, space, emotional support, sometimes advice, perspective, if it's welcome or wanted. But really a lot of space for you to integrate, process, and move forward in the way that you're wanting to. So that is a little bit about who I am today, what I'm offering today, currently, presently in my coaching and mentorship work, and what it's focused on, and who it can benefit. And if that's you, or if there's any part of this conversation that felt enlivening for you and that you'd want to hear more information about or talk about or process through, I'm opening up a community conversation about really inviting you to share your experiences of, what coaching has offered you, what therapy has offered you, what it feels like. I really just want to open up a space for people to share some experiences about that live, and just continue clarifying, a healthy perspective around the differences between the two professions, and then also honoring them both, honoring what they offer, and just continuing to have an open, kind, compassionate mind around what these resources can offer our community. So that open conversation is happening this Friday at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and it will only be about 50 minutes long. So we'll end up at about 9:50, and I welcome you. I welcome you to come stop by and share your experience and whatever else feels like what you're needing from that conversation, either to hear other people share their experiences or hear just some more information about what coaching and mentorship can offer, and how to really know, what the differences are, or how maybe you're a person who knows you need some support right now but are not sure where to look for it or what modality would be best for you. This would be a great first step, was just to come and find out some more information and ask questions and participate in the conversation. Let's see, is there anything else? Yeah, I think I'm really just holding the question right now, as I do with my clients and with myself. And the question that I'm holding right now is the question I'm holding right now is who is needing / wanting support from a coach or a mentor, and how can I be more available to those people? That's the question that I'm holding right now, and I thank you for holding it with me and for joining and participating in this conversation however you are. Feel free to leave a comment and tell me a little bit about what you think below this video, and or shoot me an email. I'll leave my email address below. It is radiantsong.asherleigh, Leigh, @gmail.com. And I welcome hearing about anything you got, any of your experiences or opinions or anything you'd like to share. All right, welcoming you to the conversation. Thanks so much, and I'll talk with you soon.